about you. I'd like to know your point of view.
Hi everybody, welcome to Embracing Reality with Evening Ransom. If you are a codependent, and particularly if you are surrounded by narcissists, what I used to be like is I used to say yes to everything, could not tell people no, and because I really could not tell people no, but the people that were closest to me in my life wouldn't take no for an answer, so that's why I couldn't tell people no. I learned not to. I learned not to admit, or I learned to disown my own needs, disown my own feelings, disown my own tastes and preferences even. And it was like in 2005 when I got into this treatment program where it was this intensive therapy for about a year and a half. When I first entered this program, I was so sick. I just really was such a wreck because I had no idea. I had no idea what my beliefs were. I had no idea what my preferences were. I had no idea what my desires were. I had no idea what I liked or didn't like or what I felt about anything. All of my life, I had put what other people's desires were ahead of my own. Their desires were my desires. Your reactionism it's not always just in direct relation to what the narcissist is saying. A lot of times it's an indirect relation to just the general sense of how you live. So you're always reacting. You're always trying to anticipate people's needs. Always trying to put out fires before they happen. Always trying to be one step ahead. Or your dad will call you up and say, surprise party for your mom, Friday night, be there. Friday is not even her birthday. It's like, and this is like Thursday. And I had to be in the hospital. And he said he didn't even care. He was just like, just be there. And I was there. I don't remember exactly I don't remember the exact details. I only remember that I told him I had to be in the hospital, that I might have to be in the hospital or something like that. He didn't have any concerns about that. He even asked for what. All he said was just be there. And I know that I was there. I don't remember if I had to cancel something or. That's exactly what they'll do. They'll expect you just to be there. And if you don't do exactly what they're asking you to do, they'll act like you're completely selfish because you didn't do this thing they asked you to do that is most likely totally unreasonable. And the way I live now is so different. The house was immaculate. I felt like the kids and I needed to be always looking good. You know, it's all, everything, I had to keep our finances really squared away, great credit. I mean, I just did everything to the letter, completely neurotic about it. And I did all these things for my husband that just never got appreciated. And I always thought, well, one thing is if you're raised by narcissistic parents, you're used to not getting compliments. You're used to that. And so when you're doing things for your husband, you're making his lunches and you're doing his laundry and you're having dinner on the table and keeping the house all clean and beautiful and keeping yourself looking nice and all these things that you do. And the one thing that they'll comment on is whatever the one thing is that isn't right, or the one thing is that you didn't get to, or, that's the thing they'll comment on. That was normal for me. A normal non-codependent person would go through something like their family calls them up, look at the thing with my father, will call me up and say, we're having a birthday party for your mother on tomorrow night, be there. Oh gosh, Dad, I'm sorry, I wish that you would have called. I wish you would have called sooner because I have plans. If you called me even just 2 days ago, I just made these plans, but now I can't. You should have told me sooner. Maybe if you want to reschedule, I can help you organize it. We can push it back a day or two. I'll help you with that. That's what a normal person would do. Whatever I did wasn't that. Whatever I did, it ended up getting me there, and him never thinking that he needed to, he just knew I would be there. He just knew I would be there. You accept things as being normal that just are just not normal. These were milder cases before everything blew up. So this is when I had a relationship with a narcissistic family that I hadn't identified as that. I hadn't identified what narcissistic abuse was or anything. But once you know, then you know how to deal with this better. Like, I never got a chance to be around these narcissistic people knowing what I was doing. So I learned everything after we were estranged, so they've never had a relationship with me with my knowing what they were doing. But, you know, and it probably wouldn't last long if we did. If they had a problem with me before, when I was jumping through hoops and doing everything in the world to please them, there would be nothing in it for them now. They wouldn't be motivated at all to be in a relationship with me now. Because now I would not drop everything in a moment's notice to come be with them. But if you are caught in just being in this reactive mode all the time, you're not going to know a lot of things about yourself. And primarily, you're not going to know how you feel about things. And feelings are really, really important. And anymore, I really feel like there's not a lot of things that I think are worth doing if they don't feel good. But I didn't allow my feelings in at all. There was no room for my feelings in my previous life. This got me to a point where I'm so in touch with my feelings that I had a heart attack. And my husband didn't even drive me to the hospital, and I didn't even believe I had to drive myself to the hospital or call 911 or call my brother or anything, because I was really so out of touch with my self-care that I didn't know what an appropriate reaction would be. You want to ask yourself how you feel about things. Call it the same scenario. Calls me up, I'm having this party, you need to be there. Oh, I can't be, Dad, because I'm going to actually be in the hospital. And he doesn't ask me anything. I need to go ahead and acknowledge how that felt. How did that feel to be so disregarded, to have my needs not matter to my father? How did that feel? And not just let it brush over, and go into how do things feel and let yourself feel them. Because most chances are pretty good that you've dissociated from your feelings. And your feelings really are where the truth is, you know? Your feelings are telling you just about everything you need to know. And so you need to be able to know what they are. And you really can get completely numb to your feelings after a lot of years of this, because it's just too painful. It's too painful to have the feelings when all they're telling you is bad news. When you have the feelings and no one cares to soothe them. Because the narcissist is on the other end of the spectrum. They do everything based on raw feelings without any real thoughts or rational thinking, and it's completely unreasonable. You know, they're ruled by their feelings, and their wants feel like needs to them. When my dad retired, so we had a business we were running. I was running a household. I had a toddler, and I was pregnant. And I asked my retired dad if he wanted to get together for lunch once a week. And he didn't commit to it. I go, how about once a month? He didn't commit to it. And that was so painful for me. I'm thinking, why wouldn't a parent, an adult, and he's retired. He just retired. He had nothing going on. Why would he not want to know that his daughter wanted to check in and want to have lunch with him once a week? I would be thrilled if my son did that. And imagine that I thought I was offering that to him, that he would be all over it, and he totally turned me down. He acted just completely vague and wasn't sure he could commit to it, or, as a retired grandparent, that you have your daughter cared about you enough that she wanted to have lunch with you. She wanted to make sure she saw you once every week. And I drove myself all the way to having a flippin' heart attack because I was just so busy people pleasing. I mean, I drove myself. And I shouldn't have survived it. It was a really serious coronary dissection, and I drove myself to that because I was so out of touch with my own feelings, so out of touch with my own body, so out of touch with what was going on with me, and so accustomed to feeling bad. So accustomed to feeling bad and having such a high threshold for pain. The trap of codependency is you're groomed for in childhood, and where the reactivity comes from is it comes from you not learning to trust your own feelings, not learning to trust your own thoughts and your own feelings. You're constantly reacting to your environment. You want to please people, and you care so much about being approved of and about being liked. And what ends up happening is you build resentment. Narcissists are truly the angriest people. They're the most rage-filled people on the planet, but real close behind them are codependents. These are angry people. Your parents were a narcissist and a codependent. You had no protection. You had no one looking after you, and there was a lot of anger there. The healing process for this is to really get in touch with your feelings. Understand what you're feeling about something. You know, ask yourself what you're feeling. And for a while, you have to really ask yourself what you're feeling all the time. Because really, you are out of touch with how you're feeling. It'll take a while. You're getting to know yourself. You're repairing yourself and getting to know yourself. And sadly, most likely, nobody else knows any of these things about you either. You know, do they know what your favorite color is? Do they know what your favorite restaurant is? Do they know what your favorite movie is? How in tune with you are they? What's your favorite artist? What's your favorite, what do they really know about you? And do they really care? A sociopath will probably know a lot of stuff about you, but this isn't going to be the one that's likely to be sticking around 20 years later. You know, the ones that I've seen stay married are narcissists, way more the overt type of narcissists, and they have this codependent, toxic relationship that keeps them together. It's like a relationship that no one could ever possibly have with them. No one else could possibly do this dance that they've got going on together, you know. And it's very insulated. They need each other to perpetuate it, because any outside party is gonna think it's weird. You know, it's gonna kind of go. They need to keep reality as far away from them as possible. So, codependents as children were not believe their own feelings. They're not trained to trust their own thoughts or trust their own memories or their own judgment. They were trained to not trust those things, talked out of trusting those things. And that's actually where a lot of the confusion comes from. That's why a lot of people that are narcissistically abused just have this overwhelming sense of confusion, of just being confused, because they're new to talking to people that they see also have this problem. So you think you're the only one with the problem. You've had it all your life. It's all you know. You know, because it can be it can seem a little far-fetched to us now. How do we not know? I mean, it's such terrible abuse. It's so outrageous. But we didn't know. We didn't know because it was all we knew. You know? So you need to get in touch with your feelings about everything. You know, how do I feel about the way that guy just talked to me? Or how do I feel about this doctor making me wait so long in the waiting room? You know, how do I feel about all kinds of different things throughout the day? Just knowing how you feel. And then the last part is acting on it, doing something about how you feel. So if something feels really wrong to you, say no. If something feels really offensive to you, say something. Say you've offended me. If something feels if it feels just like that's not the right choice for me, I need to make a different choice, but it may not be the popular choice with my parents or my family, then you have to go with what you feel and explain that to them. Say, I went with what was right for me. This feels right to me, so I'm doing this. Get the empowerment of saying that, because doing it is the biggest part, but saying it also is important at this stage. It's kind of like some reparenting you have to do to get over this codependency stuff. All right, you guys, thanks so much. I will talk with you later.